לא, he's not walking now.
Good.
הוא חושב שזה עובד.
So, here we go. And there's a really hotline, but very nice sikha. It's already been explained in previous sikhas. We have to bear in mind that this is from the year Toshin Nun Aleph. And Toshin Nun Aleph wasn't a Shnasa Iba like we have now. It wasn't a Shnasa Iba like we have now. And therefore, Pasha Tazria and Matzura were joined together, and they were already after Pesach, already after Achar Shal Pesach. They were already close to Rosh Chodesh Iyar, to Beis Iyar. So the Rebbe had already said the famous Sikha of Chof Ches Nisan, whereby he urged everybody to take responsibility to bring Mashiach. Everybody should do everything in his ability, with the famous Sikha. So when the Rebbe says that it's already been explained in previous Sikha, he's referring back to those very famous Sikhas that occurred at the end of Chodesh Nisan and very early in Rosh Chodesh Iyar. Al HaTzorach shekol echad ve'echad yas ha'koel kedei lahovi es ha'geula b'foyo. The inner point of all those sikhas, but there's a necessity and a requirement for every one of us individually to do everything, to see that he should do everything he can. Lahovi es ha'geula b'foyo. And that was the whole inner message of the famous Chof Ches Nisan of that year, whereby the Rebbe said that everybody must see a personal responsibility, not just that he should rely on him and so on, but each and every one of us. And then once you've got each individual involved, if you join them together in a meaning of what the Rebbe described as Akshonim, then you get a much greater power than people being more or less reliant on a central figure like the Rebbe. And it has to be taken miyad mamish, to bring the gula mamish now. Mekivan shekois achrei chodesh Nisan. That's what it was in Toshin and Aleph Shol Shana Zu. Yeboro lakol hadeyas shemotzia tzarich lovei taken miyad mamish. It's clear, according to all opinions, that Mashiach has to come now, take him miyad, but take us nuchol loimo sheMashiach kvar. We won't be saying that Mashiach has to come, but we'll already be talking a minute after, as the famous lesson in Shir HaShirim, where Shlomo HaMelech says, Hine zeh bo, that's referring to Melech HaMashiach. The Rebbe points out that the word bo can be understood in two ways. The simple meaning of the pasuk, bo, he is coming or he will come. But ein tova yetzim midei pshuta, that the word bo can also mean in the past tense. He's already come. So from the simple pshat of meaning he's now coming, will be every moment we can find ourselves in a situation where it's already been. It's like a tremendous play on the two tenses hinted at in the verb. Ko'esh nira, at this moment it appears, ei b'diuk oisim sois, ve'ei kol zeh mudgash b'shabbat kodesh zeh. The Rebbe said, at the moment it seems to me clear exactly how we're going to achieve this. We've got to bring Mashiach b'poel mamish and make it already a finished product, already in the past tense. And it's clear from this week's Sedra and from this Shabbos in general how we're going to do that. And so he said, "B'parshas Shavua shekoyrim haShabbos b'boiker וגם בפרשה שקוראים במנחה, בפרקי אובס, also בפרקי אובס הנקראים בשבת, the minhag to read Pirkei Avos begins already after Pesach. It already began the week before on Parsha Shmini. And it's interesting, in a footnote the Rabbi brings here, just by the way, it could be a Lamaisa. The Rabbi brings in a footnote that the Alter Rebbe writes in his Siddur that it's not just a minhag to read in the 6 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot. That all he didn't do. But he said it's proper to do like that all the Shabbos of the Kayach, of the summer. And then the Rebbe writes in brackets, "V'gam Shabbos hachoyrim." That's what he writes. That even in the months of the winter, it would be proper to learn Pirkei Avos. But that's a big chiddush. Lo yadu li mizeh. I've never quite heard of that, because the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur only talks about the rest of the month, the rest of the summer, till Rosh Hashanah. Also in the winter you should learn Pirkei Avos. That's interesting. Well, he writes in brackets, "V'gam b'chodshei hachoyrim." Yeah. So see, everybody's very calm. So I sure didn't manage to excite anybody. So. Oh, very good. So that was Seil Chaim.
Wake up, Yidden.
That's what's written in the brackets of the Sikha. Because these Sikhas, all, the Rebbe is in a very, it's called high tone. It's all very, very high, sort of inyonim, you know. So if you have to learn Pirkei Avos, you don't learn a part of the Torah, you have to learn Pirkei Avos the whole Torah. Anyway, he says, Pirkei Avos are nikroim b'Shabbos, b'tarich chodesh iyar, whatever is the particular month of this chodesh iyar. He said, U'sfiras ha'omer she'seferim b'Shabbos. And at that time they're already counting Sfiras ha'omer because it's already after Pesach. So the Rebbe said he got all these things come together in this Shabbat. The Parsha Shavua, the Pirkei Avos, you say, on that day, on that particular day of the month, and Sfiras ha'omer of that particular Shabbat. So he said all those three things, the Rebbe says in the Sikha, all those three things come together, but they all must teach us something. And the Rebbe's point is that in those three inyonim, it's hidden already what we have to do to bring Moshiach b'Poel Mamish. He said, "Parsha something," and the Rebbe's point is that in those three inyonim, it's hidden. Reading both of them together, Roim b'birur es hagiula. We see clearly evidence of the whole inyan of the Geula in both of these parshas, and they're being linked together. Yeah, he said, Parsha Tazria matchila b'milim isha ki Tazria, but not only she will become fertile, she will give seed, but she will also v'yolda zachor. That's in the first place, and she will give birth to a male child. And then it's written that on the Yom HaShmini she has to be malas orlose. But by the way, that's where we know that we have to keep mitzvahs milah min haTorah, because it was Kodesh Baruch Chazar v'Sinai, and yet nonetheless we call it Brisa Shel Avraham Avinu. Even though the Rambam points out that we don't keep it because of Avraham Avinu, we keep it because it's written in the Torah, the Yom HaShmini Yimel, but that's the beginning of this week's parsha. But nonetheless, it's still called Brisa Shel Avraham Avinu. And why is that? Because he began. Avraham Avinu opened the pathway to the keeping, and Kol HaSchodesh Koshes, and every beginning is a very great thing. Therefore, we call it on the name of Avraham Avinu. Of the reason why we keep it is because of. So anyway, we're talking about Yolda Zochor. So the Rebbe said, Leido, the etzem concept of giving birth after Tazria, after having been fertile, is Moira ala Geula. That indicates the whole concept of Geula. Kenema Biyude Hagula, as it's written in the Novi, when I get to the Geula, Yolda Tzion es Boneho. There's a passage that Tzion, referring to Yerushalayim, the cloud to Yidden, will give birth to her sons. Ki Chola Gam Yolda, it's a passage in Yeshaya, I think. You have a later Zocho, and the giving birth in particular of a male, Moira al Geula Chazoka, that indicates a strong and very powerful theme in the Geula, because that will indicate a Geula she'ein acharei Golas. In other words, that if it would be just written later also indicates a new situation, a new birth, and that's a different Geula. But if it's written the old Zocho, then a Zocho is the union of Chazal, like the old Rabbi writes in Lakut Heter and Pasha Vayikra, on the famous beer in Chassidus out there. So the union of a Zocho indicates Chizuk. So we're talking about what is Chizuk in Geula, when it will be a Emes Geula, She'ein Achreiha Golas. Ve'albiyas HaMashiach She'magia Madrega Nailis Me'id, what the coming of Messiah, which will bring us a very, very tremendous level, Me'alma de Dechoiro, Be'Loshan HaKabbalah. That it's brought down in Kabbalah, a Loshan, that Moshiach will be from the world of male, Alma de Dechoiro. What the Kabbalah divides the elements into two types of general levels, what we call Alma de Tchoira and Alma de Nukva. And Nukva is the union of female, well, that indicates those worlds with the more hidden, Elikus is hidden in them, and you don't notice the union and therefore they're not mashpiyim kochat, the union for Gil Elikus, but we have to bring to them Gil Elikus. Well, that's indicative of a Makabel. But the Olamas which are from Alma de Tchoiro, they are from the level of Olamas which they give and give down openly a lot of Gil Elikus because of their great milah. Now the truth is that it's worthwhile pointing this out, to use the expression, where does that come from, this whole Indian that the Rabbi is quoting now, is in the footnotes. He quotes it, and that is at the beginning of this week's Parsha and at the beginning of Parsha Matzera, which at the time these were joined together. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh writes a great deal about Moshiach. And he says that Isha Tazria is the avoid of Yidden in the Golas, when they're in the time they're sowing the whole time, and Ki Tazria means she's preparing and sowing all the good things. The Yolda Zocho, that's the Geula, as they say the Orach Chaim HaKodesh. And he said Zocho is referring to Melech HaMashiach. And he talks there a whole series of inyonim which we can find hinted in the whole parsha of Tazria, but again to Moshiach and different, what you might call, different Slavim. It's not working?
It's working fine.
Yeah, because I charged it up, it should be okay. The Orach Chaim HaKodesh writes about that, and he says at the beginning of Parsha Matzera, the Orach Chaim HaKodesh says that Matzera is also referring to Moshiach, and it's going to be mentioned here. That's based on a Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin, that the Gemara says that Moshiach is like a Matzera. He's sitting when he's suffering all the sores of the Golas, but that is like a Matzera that's got things that are unpleasant. And Melech HaMashiach got them not from him being incomplete, but he got them from all the sins of the Yidden and things which are not Beseda in the Golas. And Mashiach is waiting every second to go and carry out the Geula. And therefore he doesn't bandage up. He's got certain things, and he's sitting amongst other Mitzvah, as they bring to Gemara. And he's sitting amongst a group of Mitzvah, and they are bandaging their things, But Moshiach only just puts a bandage on it, but he doesn't tie the bandage. So the Gemara says, why? So it's because he's waiting every second that Hashem is going to say to him, you have to run and redeem the Yidden. So he doesn't bandage his inner because he's waiting the whole time to go and, As they stated in the Gemara, in Masechta Sanhedrin, in the last parak, in Daf Ches. So the Chaim brings, and he says that the word Matzera is okay referring to Moshiach, because Moshiach is he's sitting waiting to go, and then he got also, and he even brings the Chaim Kodesh, amazing thing. He writes a hint that when he thinks that Moshiach should come, he doesn't say exactly the exact year, but he said within a certain small range of years, that's when Mashiach should come. And unfortunately, and he says it much more about it in Pashat Tav. Vayikra, he talks a lot about Mashiach there, and in Pashat Tav, he writes and he even mentions a year, and it's very interesting. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to look it up. I just didn't have the time to actually look up before I left the house. But if I'm not mistaken, the Aracham Kodesh over there in Pashat Tav, he says that Mashiach should be here by Tov Reish Ayin Beis. Now, what was Tov Reish Ayin Beis?
Ayin Beis.
Ayin
Beis.
Oh, Tov Reish Ayin Beis was the beginning of the huge hemshah called Ayin Beis, but the Rebbe Hashem began saying. He was away on a holiday, the Rabbi Kavyochel, he was away in Menton, in France, and he came back just Erev Shavuot, the Rebbe Hashem, on the year Ayin Beis, and a whole group of the big Siddim came to welcome the Rebbe. He'd been away for 2 or 3 months in France, and they all came in to welcome the Rebbe. So the Rebbe welcomed them, and he said that by me was Nishchadish. There was a new Indian was mitchadesh in my mind in Siddur when I was in Menton. So all the big Siddim said, Rebbe, could we maybe hear what this was? What was the chiddush? They thought something, a few sentences. So the Rebbe Hashem said, right at the moment I can't explain it all. He said, noch reden. He said, we will continue to talk about it. Continue to talk about it took 4.5 years. That was the Ayin Beis.
Wow.
So if I'm not mistaken, the Aracham writes, so we're already quite a long time after Ayin Beis. So the Rebbe says we have the right to say Ad Mosai. So the Rebbe says, Be'etzem, you should call a posik medaber ala geola. The truth of the matter is that the whole posik of Isha ki Tazria, the whole posik of Yola Zocha, it's all talking about the geola. Isha ki Tazria, mesamel es b'nai Yisrael. That's what the Aracham Kodesh said. He said, Ishtoi, how come he call Yidden Isha? Because they are the Isha of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Bisman HaGolet. As Eim Soirim es HaTorah u'mitzvahs u'mekayim moisom avoloi roim es HaTzmicha v'es HaMisrachish yeketoitzo mizu. He said, Yidden are very amazing and patient people. When you think about it, it's just, when you really are misamik in the whole Inyan, it's amazing. Just imagine the Aracham Kodesh. He lived hundreds of years ago. When you would have spoken to him, he used to talk about the Geula openly in front of everybody, and he would have said to you, Moshiach is coming right now, or he would have said he has to come, probably both. And he writes about it.
Baal Shem Tov,
and he writes He writes about it the whole time, the Racham. So how many years ago is that? And so we're holding now. So now the Indian is just, it's like the Rebbe said, it's gone beyond all limitations. And now we have to have the Geula of a Pearl Mamish of a Pashto. So we said, without all the Indian, because Yidden have been waiting. I was very impressed. I called up a person the other day, I won't mention who it was. Somebody I had known for many years, and I just mentioned to him something about Mashiach, and he said, we're waiting. But the way you say that in Yiddish, mevaret. It's a very beautiful expression. In Yiddish, I was very impressed by the way he said, we're waiting. Meaning that Yidden are waiting. But the Rebbe said that Yidden have been waiting enough.
We don't want to wait.
Oh,
You follow? Right now we have to...
we don't want to wait.
Oh. So we don't want to wait anymore. So that's what he says. The Isha Tazria is in the time of the Golas. Yidden are sowing. Why is it called the Golas? Because it's still like a sowing. They're keeping mitzvahs, but they don't see tsemach. They haven't seen the actual tsemach yet. They don't see what is going to happen once the tsemach occurs either. That we're going to see only at the moment of the Geula. In other words, the Yidden are very patiently sowing the whole time, but they haven't yet seen the emersive product of the sowing. And when is that going to happen? Only in the end of this man, Geula Mamish. What that's the end of Yolda Zochor. So now the Rabbi goes over to Pasha Matera. Pasha Matera Kashura Yeshira. Yeshira is like Geula. Pasha Matera is connected directly. How do you call it? Direct hit. How does the saying have it? Yeshira is like Geula. But Gemara Kasu. That's a Gemara I mentioned before. Sheshmoi Shel Moshiach Hu Matera Shel Beis Rabbi. That's not exact, that's a translation. What's written in the Gemara, that Moshiach is called Chivra Debei Rebbe. In Aramic, Chivra means somebody who's sick. Not necessarily a Mitzvah, but somebody who's sick. The word Chivra is the Aramic to mean pale or whitey. So somebody who's pale is usually does not well. So he's called Moshiach is called Chivra Debei Rebbe. He's like the sick person of the house of the Rabbonim, the house of the Rabbonim and the teachers. So he said, Gam Kasher Shol Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi es Eliyahu Novi. He said, Heichen Nimtza Mashiach. So it's written there that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi once had what's called Aliyah's Neshama. He went up into the high world, and he comes up there and he sees all these guys, sitting around. Some of them not well, and one of them, a big one in the middle, doesn't even bandage his sores. So he said to Eliyahu Novi, where's Moshiach? Which one around here? He said, which one around here is Moshiach? Heichen nimtza Mashiach. Only Eliyahu shel Mashiach hu ha-Metzora v'yeshev bein ha-Metzorim. He said, that guy that you see over there, that he's a big Metzora, and he's sitting in the middle, they have all the Metzorim. I said, that's Mashiach. So, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's eyes jumped out on stalks, and he said, that's Mashiach. So the Gemara goes on to say, what's he doing in such a matter, So he's the Seivlei HaChaloim. He is putting up, and all the big rabbis, they're all putting up and suffering from our diseases. That's what the Gemara says, from the diseases of the Yidden in the Golas. But the Rabbi says you have to remember that Yidden are in Golas, so you have to be Malamet Chuz. You understand? You mustn't say heavy things about good Yidden in general. So he said, but the union of the Melech HaMoshiach, he's this Metzora, is Chivra, he is suffering. And what can he do? But all the sores are not here. Therefore it's written in the Meforshei Gemara that who could be more perfect than Mashiach? Mashiach is the Yechida HaKlolis of all the Jewish people. What's he doing with all these sores? So it's not his sores, but they cause him a lot of difficulties. So he said, Mashiach Nikra Matzaira, Kivan Shuhu B'Goles. Yeah? Now the Rebbe is going to develop later as we go that the whole thing of this Nagoyim, how to call it, the whole of these things that appear on people's skin, they all indicate the Golas. That is the Golas. So he said, why is Moshiach called a Matzaira? Yeah, but he said, Kivan Shuhu B'Golas, the very fact that Moshiach is still there in the Golas, that's enough to make him a Matzaira. He said, "Who seivel as tar v'keyev shol golas," and he puts up with the tar and the pain of the golas, and he doesn't really have to, but he willingly undertakes to suffer, together with all the Yidden, because he knows that he's being, and the Orach HaKodesh writes that he's being like a kapara. Mashiach is willingly being like a, how do you call it, an atonement for all the Yidden. So he says, the Sevel is Atav HaKev Shal Golas, Ulam Pasha Matzaira, Mitaeres es Yoim Taharosai Shel HaMatzaira. Well, that's Moshiach. So the Rebbe says that he's Moshiach, but the way we see him in the Gemara, he's Moshiach still in the Golas. But the Pasha also says, Zois Toiras HaMatzaira B'Yoim Taharosai. This is the Torah. These are the things that are going to happen with him on the day that he will become purified. And the pasuk writes, why is he purified? Ki nirpo hatzaras min hatzarua, that it's already been healed. So Im Kain, the Rebbe says that there are two mentionings of Mashiach in the same pasuk. One indicates that he's still in the Golas, and the other one indicates how he's already come out of the Golas, because this is the day of his purity. And the union of his purity means that it's already been healed, the Torah. If it's already been healed, then it's, how do they say it in Russian? Dalyua Golas. Finish the Golas. It's already beginning there. Finish the Golas. It's already beginning there. The Geula. There's two names then for Mashiach. One is Zeis Teres HaMatzaira, that's referring to Mashiach, how he's still in the Golas. The Yom Toharasa is referring to Mashiach, how he's already out of the Golas, and he's coming to redeem the Yidden. That's how the Rabbi deals with it in detail, in the whole Indian And therefore, it's a very fascinating thing, and I saw it in a Sefer today, and I think in the Sefer Chinuch, I have to look it up. I think it's also the same, that there are a lot of Yidden who used to call Pasha Matzaira, not Matzaira, because Matzaira is a hard word, They used to call the whole Pasha Tahara, purity. So the Rebbe says he mentions that, the Rebbe, and he says that those two names indicate two different status in Moshiach himself. The word Matzaira means Moshiach, but as Moshiach, he's still waiting. He wants to get out of the Golas and come and redeem the Yidden. The word Tahara means how he's already freed of the Torah, and if he's already freed, then he comes straight away, and he's already done it. He's already redeemed the Jewish people. So therefore, the Rebbe said, we see how great every minhag by Yidden is, that it's so powerful, that minhag to call the Pasha Tahara, not Matzaira. And if I'm not mistaken, the Sefer Chinuch, he calls it also Tahara. He doesn't call it Matzaira, ela Tahara. So the Rebbe said, Hashlav boi hu mitgaleh v'goyel et b'nei Yisrael b'geula amitis v'ashleima yom taharosoi. That's the stage where he gets revealed, and he comes along and he redeems the Jewish people. Amazing. So the Rebbe said, Adayin, loy borakokak. What can be clearer than that, I don't know. But the Rebbe said, nonetheless, it's still a little bit not clear. He said, Tazria, Mesamer is Tazria, Valeda, Shalagiula. Well, we point out. That means the sowing in the Golas, but the giving forth of Azocha, the Inif and the Geula. He said, Ve'ilu Matzoiro, the word Matzoiro, if that's how we're going to call the Parsha, that's indicatory Moira Dafka ala Golas. Lifnei Tahara V'Geula. That's all still before he becomes purified in the Geula. Ve'ek nitan l'chavram yachad Tazria Matzoiro. How come we join both of them together and they become like one Parsha? It comes out that Tazria is like, all full of the Golas. Ve'ilu Matzoiro, even though it mentions the name of Mashiach, it's still calling the whole Parsha Matzoiro is hinting that he's still in the Golas. So in that case, how do we join the two Parshas together? And then he said there's another question, that the main question is, the main question is, if there's already been sowing and already leiders, hagiula, hanitzchiyat, that there's already been the everlasting geula, she'in achrei golos, and we said that's how the Oracham Kodesh was it, that means perfect geula. Lo yishaya she'agia chak matzoira. How do we move back again to the golos? We say the word matzoira, and we call all Parsha matzoira. Well, that's the golos. It doesn't make any sense. That's one of the reasons why these people called the Parsha Tahara, because then you continue with, and the Rabbi mentions that in a footnote. If you do that, then you mention you don't have this problem, but you go with one. Well, just by the way, it's very amazing. It's very worth mentioning that the Rabbi brings down that just like the Moshiach is called a Matzera, and he's suffering all the sores that are gone, he's waiting every minute to go. So there's a whole series of medrashim, based on in the Medrash Eichel, in the Medrash Rabbi on the Megillah Eichel. But over there, the Medrash says that the Beis Hamikdash is the same thing. And it says the Beis Hamikdash, is also a Matzera. And he says, and the Medrash says that the Beis Hamikdash is also waiting every minute that it should come down from heaven. The new Beis Hamikdash, and then it will take over the whole world. It will move out and conquer and bring light to the whole world. So the Beis Hamikdash itself is impatiently waiting to be rebuilt. Lafi those medrashim, and the Matzera, who is Melech HaMashiach, and the Beis Hamikdash are like one firm. It's an amazing thing what the Rebbe brings. And if he said there's no real, how do you call it, static entity, Al Pi Yiddishkeit. There's nothing that just sort of sits there, and everybody thinks about it and says, oh, wouldn't it be great? No, the Beis Hamikdash is a living entity that's going on the whole time. Well, we bought once in the name of the Rogatchover, that he said the Chum is also going on the whole time. That's a bit tough. Yeah. But it's the same with the trees and everything we see. The Arizal says that the trees are all the time sending messages one to the other. And what is the message? One of the messages that the trees send one to the other, the Arizal who lived in Tzfat. So we have to be very especially proud of what he said. That the Arizal said that the trees send messages and the birds talk one to the other. What do they talk about? They talk about the Oisiyah of the Sefer Torah that was burnt when the Romans came into the Beis Hamikdash, and they talk about the burning of the Sefer Torah, and they give over all the Oisiyah that they shouldn't get lost, and the birds and the trees, as it were, give the Oisiyahs further, but keep them, as you might say, within a certain area. So the Rizal said, Kotais Lafi said that the trees and the birds are very active, how do you call it, entities. They're not just sitting there, they're giving off. And it's amazing. I just tell a little thing that I went yesterday to Krasnodar, I baked matzahs. So I wasn't here yesterday. But Tuesday, I was still here. Tuesday, the Busham today over here is, if I look out the window of my room, there's a big tree not all that far from where I'm situated, and it was all bare, and it's been bare, ever since about the end of Shvat, when all the leaves fall off. It's been all completely bare. It's just these sort of bare branches, sticking up. And I said to myself on Tuesday, what a shame for that tree, it seems to be very late in getting its leaves. So I get up Wednesday morning, it was dark, I couldn't see what's going on. So I buzzed off to Kochabat. This morning, I get up and I look out of my window, the whole tree is full of leaves. Full of leaves. Which means that these leaves must have grown yesterday. And not only did they grow, but they filled the whole tree. And there's another sort of fruit tree outside our window also. On Tuesday there was a couple of little buds, you can see them here and there. Today the whole tree is covered in little small leaves. So in a space of maybe 24 or 36 hours, all these tremendous changes take place in the tree. So you can see from that they're liberty-granting to the tree. They're not lazy, they get things done, and they get it done very, very swiftly. And so the Rebbe says that the leaders even of the Geula, what they do is they must produce a leader. It's like a newborn thing. I looked at that tree and it was just a bare few sticks. What's that? If I eyes jumped out there, you got this beautiful tree with leaves on it, Yeah. And so that's the Indian of later. And that's the similar of the Geula, you follow? And then when the Geula occurs, obviously in Nisan. What Nisan is when this begins principally occurring. Anyway, excuse the slightly romantic carrying on, but it happens to be the case. It happens to be the case, and I didn't bring down that measure. The Rebbe brought it down. This whole measure that the Beis Hamikdash is impatiently suffering because it's not being rebuilt. Yeah. So the Rebbe says, Gimel, Davki b'Parshat Tazria, Davki in Parshat Tazria, HaMoyer ala Geula Mesupa Achakach al Inyonei HaNegoyim. Davki in Parshat Tazria, what's all got to do with the Geula, the second half of it is all about the Negoyim, the Torahs, what do you call it? I don't know how you say it in English, because leprosy is not right, it's not leprosy. It's not leprosy at all. Anyway, whatever. The Negoyim. Or Parshas Metzora, Amira ala Golas, Mesufa Davke al Taras Metzora. So that's kind of like the other way around. Hagiula Mia Golas. Hoya Matim Yesa, Shel Pasha, Misaperes al Negoyim, Yikaru Metzora. Or Parshas Misaper al Taras Metzora, Hagiula, Yikaru Tazria. Well, it should be the other way around. Tazria should be Matzera, and Matzera should be Tazria. Another question, I remember I was once by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked on a Rashi about 9 or 10 different questions. And all of a sudden in the middle of the Rebbe he smiled and he looked at everybody and he said, how many kashrus is that already? He said, how many kashrus is that already? So all of a sudden somebody put up his hand and said 5. And the Rebbe said, only 5? And the Rebbe starts asking questions. He just I was there, So he says, Lama Davke Mashiach, Shu HaGoel Shel Ben Yisrael Nikra Matzera. The whole thing is very strange. Why should you call Mashiach Matzera? Yes, Hashem Zeh, Moira Davke Ala Goles, V'choili. It indicates illness and Goles. Okay, so listen, we're running a little bit short of time. Oh no, we're not doing too bad. So now, the Rebbe comes up with an amazing principle in order to answer all this. And I just need to give you a little brief introduction, just a word. that there's a mimer in Pasha Tazria from the Alter Rebbe in the Kuti Torah, and it's well known that in a lot of the parshas in the Kuti Torah, the Maimorim from the Alter Rebbe are very different one from the other. There's quite a few of them, what they're long Maimorim usually, and they're quite full of explanations. They have kitzurim, a lot of them, and they go on quite a long way. Sometimes they have a biur also, which is also quite long. And they can take up several pages, a lot. And then you have other type of Maimorim, which were not necessarily all said before Peterburg. Some of them were even after Peterburg, and they're briefer, and they're very powerful. The way he expresses himself is very strong, and you have to sort of be careful to catch the flow, not sort of get mixed and think that the kasha is the terrorist or something. Yeah, you got to be careful to follow exactly what he said. So the Rebbe is going to quote now a short mimer that occurs in Tazria. It's one of these short ones in this week's parsha, and then the Alter Rebbe writes absolutely amazing things. And the basic thing what the Alter Rebbe says is that when you look at the Negoim and you read about them, they look a bit sort of upsetting and frightening. It looks rather negative and unpleasant things, the Negoim. Comes along the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe says that's not the case. He said the Negoim come from a very, very, very high source indeed, and Davka, because they come from so high, they can only indicate themselves in a very chitonius way, or those sores of the Negoim are only a very chitonius thing. They're not the real pnimis. The real pnimis is very, very high. As he came, why do we have them, Beklal? So therefore, he makes a very amazing point, the Alter, when he says that the first word when we start off talking about the Negoim is Odom. Odom ki yeh be'ir b'soroi, if there will be in the skin of his flesh, kafe yeh v'kaf. So the Alter Rebbe says, who's this Odom? When I say who's this Odom? What about Odom? Does anybody know? Have anybody comment to say about Odom? But the word Odom is the highest name that you can give for a mensch. There are 4 or 5 names: Odom, Ish, and then there's Geber and Enosh, different names. The word Odom is the highest, and that indicates a very, very high madrega. So what's the word Odom doing with all these Negoim? Ella only says the Alter Rebbe is talking about a great man. All these Negoim used to happen only to very, very elevated people, that they had finished all their job. But there was still a little bit of something in a very chitonius aspect of themselves, but they hadn't finished off. And because if you're, just imagine you have a very beautiful vessel, if it has a little fault on it, that's much more noticeable than by a simple person or by a simple vessel. So therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, he has a very high madrega, something on a very outside level that he didn't fix up yet, becomes a whole sort of a noticeable thing, but it's really chitonius, and it's really a very high in him. And Davki, because he's so high, that's what happened to him. So, all the eyes rolled out on stalks when you read that. I mean, that is just absolutely mind-boggling. And then, the Alter Rebbe writes, and the Rebbe is going to bring it all down. The Alter Rebbe writes at the end, that's why they're called Negoim. So the Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe writes that the word nega can mean, how do you call it, an illness or an ailment, or it can also mean a touch. The lingua means just to touch something on the outside. Okay. So he says, why are they called negoim? Because they're just a little outside touch on a perfect man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said. Nega v'loshen negia, it's just a little outside thing. But Davki, because he's so high, and they come from a high madrega, and they found a little bit of something which is not finished, therefore they they're not able to sort of be together with it, and it becomes a problem. Up to here, see. So what the Rebbe is going to do now? The Rebbe is going to say that Maimon of the Alter Rebbe is for everybody. Even though the Alter Rebbe says everybody, it's only referring to a very high person. So the Rebbe says that Yidden have been through enough, and Yidden have, the way Yidden are holding now, everybody's on a very high level. Shalom Aleichem. Everybody's on a very high level. Everybody's even. And the whole Indian from the Negoyim, on the contrary, it's a sign of the Geula. It's a very, very high Indian, and it came down just to Chitzenias. It's only just a touch. It's a nega for Rosh Nagia. So I see everybody still. I would have thought that I wouldn't have seen anybody on his chair at the moment, but everybody's still around. So we'll continue. So he says, "Kedei lahovin zay story lahovin koidem." He said, "Ma heim be'etzem hanegoyim." What is this whole story of the Negoyim? Atzuraz. How do you call it, this disease, this what we call it. The Chassidus Mavua, and this means the mime of the Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah. The Chassidus Mavua she'odom she'esh lo tzoraz, somebody that's got one of these, negas, siman hu she'kol ma'asov metukonim. Obviously, what do you think? Why has he got a nega? Because he's perfect.
It's complete.
He's wonderful, this guy. He's absolutely highest up. You have a kol koiches nafshay mushlomim. All the powers that he could perfect, he's already done it. Yeah? The apple became. He's only human. Nisha etzlei chisor koton. She'oisoi hu lo tikkun adayin. And that he didn't fix up yet. It's a little weeny sort of small thing. V'lochei noitru ba'oyer b'sorei siman tzoraz. He said, Mashamoyrish v'kol koiches nafshay ye'ein ra. V'rabbi chitzonias nisha k'tas b'seilas v'ra. It's only in the chitzonias a little bit of something. And so the Rebbe says, what's one of the rayas for that? It's written, Odom ki yeh ba'oyer b'sorei. So he said, what is basar and what is oyer? Basar is the flesh and oyer is the skin over the flesh. Mm-hmm. So the Rebbe said it's a principle of the man, his flesh. The principle of the man and his ruchnias and his neshama and all that. The guf is only just a kli. And in the guf is to olek lishon. אתה מזכיר שפעם הייתי באמצע הלילה לפנות בוקר, הייתי במשרדו של הרב המנוע, והוא הכניס דבר כזה, הוא אמר לי, אתה צריך ללכת לישון. אמרתי, רק אני ומה עם הרב? אז הרב אמר, אני נשאר, אתה צריך ללכת לישון. אז בפנים...
So I have permission.
So the Rabbi says that the Ikea of the man, the Rabbi said the Ikea of the man is his pneumias. The bones and all the rest of it, they're all just a building. So the Rabbi said the skin is only what's on, how they call it in English, the skin on the bones. You put first of all, you build all the the shedra, what do you call it, the skeleton, and then you put skin on it. So the skin is only the outside. But he said not only that, but the oyer with iron is the skin, and that's the outside of the outside. So it's written that where does he get the nega? In the skin of his flesh. That's what's written in the pasuk. Which means that that's in the chitzonias sheba. Chitzonias. In other words, he's really a very perfect individual, and he's an odom with all the milas. He just has a little bit left over, way down in the chitzonias that he didn't yet fix up. So this tremendous oil, since it's from such a high place, it turkeys out a cup like these little, see? It comes down and it reflects itself there. So he says, therefore, nisha k'tas pesel is bara, a little bit. even more than that. Apostle Koima Bekesel of Tsaras, Odom, ki yeh ba'er b'sorei. Koloima, shahanega ba'er b'sorei. Koloima, shahanega lo koshu afilo lebosa shel Odom. Ela rak la'oyer shemesavir lebosa. Only to the skin that's around the basar. V'gam zeh lo rogil. That's not by the whole Klal Yisrael. Ela gam b'mikra ki b'mikra. Because it just happens every now and then. Ki if this will be, meaning it's not going to be every now and then. It's not likely. If it should be, then this is the din. So the Rabbi said, v'gam k'shezeh magia. Even if it does happen, then zeh rak nega tzoraz. Zerak no geya boy, avaloi shayach afilo lechituni. You say it's not really shayach even to the chituni because it's just a little touch. Aramel contains a whole new understanding of the negoim, and that's why it's written ki yeh. If it will happen to be, it's a rare thing, right? And therefore, if you look up in the Rambam, he's got in the comes in the Akdama, the Pirkei Avos, the Rambam writes that all the Maisa HaNegoim was Maisa Nisimhu. It was all, what do you call it, miraculous thing. And he says that's why it's not around today. That's why you don't have it today, because it was Nisim, and when they were in the desert, everything was Nisim the whole time, much more than it is now with Managolas. That's why you don't have it, because it's very, very high Nizim. That's what he writes around. So the Rebbe said, B'chassidus Mevayrim Yagam Shel Lifnei Sha'koyen Koiveya Shenegoyim Elu Hi'inam Siman Toma HaNegoyim Eim Dakya Dvarim Kevoyim Ba'ereis Elyonim. In order to understand this, the halacha is, let's say the guy's got a nega, and it's a real nega, but the Kohen hasn't seen it yet, and the Kohen didn't pass it. So what's with it?
It's nothing in it.
Rashi writes at the beginning of the parsha, She'eina negoim mitamim rach al yidei Kohen. Only if the Kohen says that they're Tomei, then it becomes Tomei. Which means that you can be walking around with a nega, that's be'emes a nega, but koloi that you haven't seen a kohen, and he hasn't paskin, then you're not tomei. You only become tomei when the kohen paskin. So the Rebbe said, you can be walking around with something that's tomei, and yet nonetheless you're not tomei. You're tahor. How do you become tomei? Because a very high person like the kohen, right? He paskins about you that you're tomei. Yeah, only then you become Tomei. There's a simon that before the Kohen Paskins is something very high. It's like a steer. It's got the signs of Tomei, but it's Tahor. It's not Tomei.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys have. It's a wondrous thing. Until the Kohen actually says, it's not Tomei. Well, so the Rebbe, that's an indication that it's Eretz El Yonim, it's very, very high, Madrigas, and Ikoim, Barosh Nakabara Baksidas, Dina Kashia de Kedusha, and he called the hard dinim of Kedusha. Why? Because most of the dinim in Kedusha are Gvuris Momentofis, you know, they call the sweet Gvuris. This is Gvuris Koshim. And in other places, in the Alter Rebbe, he says that these are called Eretz de Toyu. So now we know, Uras Tatayu, they don't come down with normal, they're very high, but they don't come down with normal, he's told to. They sort of fall down and they become a dover, bilti ratzui, even though in their shuras, they're very high. So you're tired tonight. You're very tired tonight. So the Alter Rebbe points out that that's why the Negoim are only chitainis by very high people, because very high eras that have come down and have just cut the place of chitainis. You follow? So the Rebbe says, what is the way to Tahara? So the Rebbe says, Nitan lema shishnei biurim eilu shetzara zu peselas mu'etes u'shetzara zu eres el yoinim He said, Tluim Erad Vasheni, that the two things that this is just a chitzenius tikazach on the outside, but it's Eretz El Yoinim. He said they're dependent one and the other. Mikivan Shanagoyim Heim Eretz El Yoinim, but etem Lochein Gam Kisha Misiva Koshi, for some certain reason, Heim Yardu Mimadrigosam Nitanu Koiches Yerechitainim, then Koiches, because these high lights have come down and Yordu from their Madrega, Yordu means like they've fallen, then they become like able to give certain koiches to the chitonium, koiches shlilium. Gamaz harash anoitmahem hu chitoni bilvad, but it's only chitoni, even though it's not good, but it's only chitoni is bilvad. Lochein kedei latakein zois yeloi tzarich shum dover noiser. Tarigrak legalois is the Einyan Amite Shalan Agoim Yeshaim Be'etzem Eretz El Yoinim. You don't really need to do anything. The Kohen just has to say do this and do that, but he doesn't have to make anything new. He doesn't bring some new medicine or vice versa. He just says lock him up for a couple of days, do this, but literally he doesn't really do anything. If I'm for worth, because the Rabbi says here, really the Nagoyim Abapinimiyusom, they're very high. So you don't, to heal them, you don't have to be Mahapacham. All you got to do is reveal their emes of Panimiyas. And if you reveal their emes of Panimiyas, they automatically become sweetened for what they really are. So what's the Rabbi going to learn from that? That since the Nagoyim represent the Golas, the Rabbi said, we don't need anything new. Well, everybody should have, it's going to be going out the chimney. The Rabbi says that we don't need anything new to bring Mashiach. We just need to turn the Golas into Geula. We just need to reveal that the Torah, the Zis, is itself the truth, hidden inside. All the Inyanim is very, very high, or tremendously high Inyanim. All you need is just to reveal them and bring them out for what they really are. And then what the Rabbi says, that's the pshat that he said on numerous occasions, that in order to get from Goyla to Geula, you just need to bring down the Aleph and reveal the Aleph. You don't need to change the Golas. You just have to reveal the Panimis and the Atzmians from the Gansinyan and the Golas. Remember, once you do that, you're putting an Aleph into the Goyla. That's what the Rebbe said. That's what he learns from the Nagoyim. You just have to reveal what the Nagoyim really are, and the Nagoyim are really very, very high. And therefore, that Maimah from the Alter Rebbe, that is the basis of the whole thing. That is a bomber where the Alter Rebbe said that really the Nagoyim are very high in Yonam. It's all just contained the whole Riches Dvar. What should people be doing? They should be running around, jumping out of their kelim. The Oiras of Torah, if they can jump out of their kelim around to make it a little bit of nega at the end of the whole story, is we can jump out of our kelim and bring the Gula Shlema.
Amen.
So, I haven't finished yet. We just have to... I'm running out.
We don't want to wait.
I'm running out of fuel. But,
we don't want to wait.
Oh, no. You don't want to wait. You want till I can up upon him. What does the Rebbe say? What is this answer that he said at the beginning that we can bring the Geula? So he says, written by the Matzorah, Zois Torahs HaMatzorah. This is literally the dinim, but the word Torah means Torah. So the Rebbe said the answer to all the problems is to learn Torah. And if you learn Torah, then you break the goals and you mahapa everything. So he said, but particularly if you learn Torah, it's got to do with the Geula and with Mashiach. And this is the famous sikha where the Rebbe at the end, he says that everybody should make a shiur, and everybody should try as much as they can to learn some inyan. For a measure of the week, it's got to do with Mashiach and Geula. And he said, Ma toiv the people should learn it together in a, what you call it, in a group. And then he says that the Mila of the goddess is how do you call it, Mesiras Nefesh. Yeah, the Rebbe says it's really not Mesiras. But if there's any Mila, then the Mila is that it's, how do you call it, Mesiras Nefesh. So he said you have to have Mesiras Nefesh to make sure you learn every few days a Inyan of Geula Mashiach. You have to have Mesiras Nefesh, and if we learn in Yonah Geula Mashiach, boom. That's the answer. So he's Torah Sama, Torah Matzah is anyone Mashiach. How are we going to bring him that he should be Yom Toharosai? Yeah, Alidei Torah Sama Mashiach. Learning Torah. So with that, it's, I just want to answer. That's how I'm here tonight. Because I got up, put on my hat, and so my wife said to me, "Where are you?" I said, "You know very well. Thursday night I have she said, "You shouldn't hear you 1 hour after yesterday." I said, "I'm sorry. The Rebbe says we have to have Mesiras Nefesh, and this is a very precious inyan. So we learn Geula Mashiach together. So we learn a whole group of us together. I think we're almost a minute, aren't we? Yeah. If not, yes, we are a minute. Yeah. Is that we learn Geula Mashiach together? Yeah, according to the Torah of the Rebbe himself, there's Ein Lamaylam is there. And so that's what the Rebbe says at the end of the Sikha. That's what's going to bring Mashiach B'Poel. That's the answer, and that's the Hamshocha of the Aleph into the Geilah. That's what he says. That's we haven't got what to add to that. Only to use the old expression, we got to get cracking.
We have to get Melech Mashiach Lombed.
Yeah, Adonai Moreno Rabbeinu Melech Mashiach Lombed.
Melech Mashiach Lombed.
Yeah, Adonai Moreno Rabbeinu Melech Mashiach Lombed.
Adonai Rabbeinu Melech Mashiach Lombed.
Yeah, Adonai Moreno Rabbeinu Melech Mashiach Lombed. And there we got it. It says. It's just another whole world. It's just mind-boggling. And you know, I just touched on the first part, the whole answer with the Pirkei Avos and with Rabbi, and the Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin about Rabbi Yehuda Anosi, that if Moshe is from those who are alive right now, then it's Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Rabbi Yehuda Anosi. Yeah, they said anyway. So we see that Rebbe, he was the one that was ready to be Moshiach, B'Torah's man. So the Rebbe learns the whole Mishnah from Rebbe, in Pirkei Avos. Then he learns about the spirits of Himel, and Tiferes of Malchut of Tiferes, I think it was in there. Oh, yeah, Malchut and Tiferes. And then the Rebbe sums it up at the end of learning Torah.